Hey guys, it's Jason with your Hopium-free crypto channel. Today we're going to look at the question, how long are we going to be in this bear market for? Well, we're going to do our best to answer that question looking at previous cycles. So if you want to see more of that on the channel, let me know. Hit the like button down below right here, subscribe to the channel, bell notification icon. Plenty of you that haven't subscribed yet, still watching the videos. It does go a long way to helping out the channel. So make sure you do those things down below. Let's dive in. All right, so I've got a question for you guys. How many weeks or months have you been in cryptocurrency? Jot that down below in the comments. All right, I want to hear from you guys how long you've been in cryptocurrency. The reason for that is we're looking at history, and what tends to happen is the longer that we're in something, like we're in a market or a particular profession that we've been studying for a long time and working in it, the better we become at understanding that language and understanding what it is that we're doing. And so if we're only been in cryptocurrency for a few weeks, maybe a few months, maybe a year or so, we're not going to really have a grasp of what's happened in the past. And so I've been in cryptocurrency since about March, April of 2017. And so I remember the emotions of that period of the market as it went up, and I stayed with the market as it went down. So it was quite costly, but now I have that experience of being with the market. And so you guys as well, hopefully you've been in it for a few months and you've got the experience of a market falling against you by 50, 60%, depending on which coins you're in. And so that's what we're going to look at today, looking at the length of these cycles. Because if we've been in it a short time and we've seen the gains from, say, January or February rising up for a couple of months, and then we saw a couple of alt seasons, maybe we got some, maybe we didn't, missing out on some gains, maybe we did get some, and now we've seen a few months down, we can become short-sighted to believe that we should see the market take off again, and then we become disillusioned when it doesn't, and maybe it lasts just that little bit longer than our emotions can handle, that we believe the market should be down, or it should hold down for that long and then come back up, without having gone through and seen any of the past. And so although we might not have the emotional experience at that time, and the emotional experience is very important, it's the market sentiment. It's essentially, this is all we're looking at on the charts. It's the sentiment of the market. It's the people making up the market. We've got a little bit of color in there as well, looking at our colored crayon candles. So the market sentiment is what we are charting when we are trying to determine whether the market's going to be going up, down, or sideways in the short to long term. So this is a weekly chart as well. So I'm looking at macro stuff going on here. I'm looking at macro picture views for Bitcoin. And I've got a lot of numbers, so don't worry about that. We just want to look at the frames from highs to a breakout. So there, you could basically call anything from like, what is your definition of a bear market or a bull market? Is it the extreme top to extreme bottom? Is that as long as a bear market is? Is it from the top to the breakout? Is it from the top to another top, or the top to the next top? It just depends on what you're calling a bear market. And sure, there are plenty of explanations for it, but the main thing is, doesn't matter what it is, whatever your explanation is, it doesn't really matter. The main thing that matters is that when you measure it, that you're consistent with measuring that time and time again, so that you can come back and reference it. So looking at 2011 through to the breakout point, so when the market actually broke the previous high, I'm using that because, like I just saw this time round, through 2020 to 2021, as the market broke the all-time high, the media became far more extreme. And then when the media comes in, that's when retail starts to pile in. It takes them a little while to get in here, a month or two, whatever. In this case, that's what it took. Most people started to pile in through February and March, when we were near the tops. And so I'm using that point of the breakout of the all-time high as one way to measure the market sentiment and to measure the bull market, or how long the bear market will last for. I also use top to bottom as well to give me an idea of, could I be expecting a reversal like we can see here? That was top to bottom was 23 weeks, but then we got a 7-week climb out, another 22 weeks sideways, a 9-week climb again, 21 weeks sideways, and then we took off for 13 weeks. And that's all the market had in it, was just 13 weeks, and then it went sideways again for another 25 weeks. And if you're starting to pay attention here, you can really see that the numbers are pretty common. They continue to repeat time and time again. So the Bitcoin market likes this sort of 4, 5, 6 month time frame, and then you could double that and divide it by 2 as well. So you got all these divisions within those timeframes. Why do those timeframes work? I don't know. Ask everyone. Ask all the people. Generally speaking, I would say it's because this is how much patience people have. And when when the patience wears out, that's what happens to the market. You sort of get to the point where it's like, nothing's happening. I'm sick of this. They dump everything. That's the last sellers. We take off. Or they say, I'm buying everything. This thing is going to the moon, and then there's no one left to buy, and it dumps from that point. So we're just measuring market sentiment. Looking at 2011 through to 2013, this was 90 weeks from top to the next breakout. So just short of 2 years. But we could measure top to bottom, 23 weeks. The next piece, which is probably more what I'm looking at here, is our 2013 run. So we've seen something like this already, a nice solid bull market into our top of April of 2021. Now we've got 30 weeks. So this is April 2013. And it had 30 weeks until it broke that high again. Let's use the ruler from the top to this low, about 12 weeks, so about 3 months. We're getting very close to that point now. I'd say in another week's time, we're at that 3-month point, and we're getting pretty close to another low. Maybe we've even put the low in. We won't know until after the fact, just like you didn't know here. You don't know what's coming on the right-hand side of the screen. So if I'm looking at 30 weeks, there's another data point. Now we got the top in 2013. We had 91 weeks down. Funny that. 90 weeks from a top to a breakout. 90 weeks from a top to a low. And we had 160 weeks from the top to the breakout, 120 weeks from the low to the top. Let's fast forward more to where we are today. About 157 weeks from the top to the breakout. Very similar to the top in 2013 to the breakout in 2017. We had 70 weeks from 2019 top to when we broke out. And the media started covering it in October and November. It started to come through. It even started a little bit earlier, but looking at this point here in October, you can see that the volume started to pick up. So what is the volume? The volume is just more people coming in to buy. It's actually more contracts, or in this case, more BTC being traded. Doesn't mean that it had to be all one way. It's buying and sell. So the volume here shows us that there was more interest coming in. Doesn't necessarily have to be more people, which I said earlier, but it's just more interest. So a lot more interest is coming. Then we get even more interest at the highs. We get some more interest when it breaks out. So 157 weeks, spare us a few weeks. Look, it's pretty similar, 160, 157. Then we see our moves. So now I want to measure the moves up. So from this low to our current high, about 57 weeks. So that's another big reason why I don't think this bull market overall is over. But the question I put at the beginning of the video is, how long will this bear market last? And I've talked about 3 to 12 months quite often. Is that measure from the top to when we break out again? Potentially. I've said it many times where I think it's going to be at least that sort of 3 to 12 months from the high to when we reach that all-time high again. Now, I said 3 months back in April when the market started to tank. I had no idea how long it would last, but I said it through this period. We had 11 straight days down here, and we had never seen that in Bitcoin. 11 days down, lower high, lower low. We had never seen that. People were calling for $80,000 Bitcoins in May. You can go back and check this all out. Same people who are calling for more bull market over and over again. Altcoin hunting sea, all this sort of stuff, right? It's just always bullish, which brings up another note about being too bearish all the time, but forget those people for now. 11 straight days down. That doesn't happen regularly, if ever, on Bitcoin. Therefore, I expect something dramatic to happen. I didn't know what it could be, but it just had to happen. And so that's why I thought, look, at least 3 months. We've got to 3 months now. So there's the top. Here's the next point. There's 12 weeks. So 3 months is 13 weeks, all right? I don't think we're going to shoot to the all-time high next week. So I look for about 6 to 12 months from this point now beneath the old all-time high. So if I look at 6 months, it's going to take us to about 26 weeks, 27, 26. So it's going to take us into October before we could potentially see the all-time high. I think at the moment, a lot of people aren't expecting us to get to the all-time high this year. We'll wait and see until we break some of these highs that we've just set in June, and maybe we start to retest the mid to high 40s, and that's going to give us a lot more confidence. Once we start to break through 45, 47, then we can see that like the time frame is getting a lot shorter to where we should break out. So in terms of a bear market, top to the current low, we're at 10 bars. How long do I think from this point? Like I said, 6 to 12 months. That gives us 26 to about 52 weeks. Now you can see where I'm basing that on. I'm looking at stuff like 70 weeks top to the breakout. Considering we're in a solid bull market at the moment, I think it might be somewhere in that region. And then I look back at 90 weeks and also 30 weeks.